Yes. So the way of Abraham is essentially seeing the creator of the heavens and the earth as the king, the master, the owner, the maintainer, the sustainer of everything that exists, and to appreciate that he is the only deity worthy of our worship. And what does worship mean? Because people think worship is just doing an action like lighting a candle or just praying. But worship is a very profound concept in the Islamic tradition. It means that you know God, you recognize God the most, you want to know God the most, right? The God is the ultimate truth for you, which is interesting because in the Islamic tradition, one of God's names is Al-Haq. He is the truth. Another aspect of worship is that you love him the most. He is Al-Wadud. He is the most loving. He is the source of love. I mean, how can you love things and not love the source of love? It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah? It's a bizarre situation. And he's the most loving because we know God's names and attributes are maximally perfect. To the highest degree possible, they are transcendent. They have no deficiency and flaw. So just imagine the type of love that we're talking about. Like, God is As-Samad, meaning the independent. He is Al-Ghani, he is the free. And he loves, yet he gains nothing by loving. Imagine how pure his love is. Like a mother, she loves. We know it's unconditional, but it completes her. There is a contingency to her love. It completes her. She cannot not love, right? God gains nothing by loving, but he loves. And the purity of that love is something else. It's just like mind-boggling. I mean, you can't really square that circle, but... So we should love God the most, and we'll unpack that, and we should obey him because he is the ultimate authority. I mean, if you can obey a pilot when the pilot says, sit down, buckle up, there's going to be turbulence. I mean, I'm not going to be so arrogant and start moonwalking on the aisle, right? And start dancing, right? No, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to buckle up, I'm going to pray, I'm going to make dua, I'm going to say, I don't like turbulence, right? So we obey doctors because we know they're an authority in their domain. They say, you have this illness, take this medicine. Okay, no problem. I hear and I obey. You don't take the medicine and you start analyzing its chemical compound. You don't put it under a microscope or whatever the case may be. And no, you just submit to an authority. If we can submit to authorities on a day-to-day basis, even as atheists, even as people who are not religious, we submit to authorities because we have epistemic limitations. We have cognitive limitations. We can't know everything. So we have to, by virtue of that, because of that, obey others or refer to others. What about Allah? He is the ultimate authority. He is Al-Hakim, Al-Alim. He is the knowing. He is the wise. God has the picture. We just have the pixel, right? So by virtue of that, of course, we're going to obey him. So that's a form of worship. And we must direct all acts of worship to God alone. And these include ultimate gratitude and extensive praise. And ultimate gratitude and extensive praise is expressed through the acts of worship like prayer and fasting and giving charity and so on and so forth. And one would argue, we have to give God ultimate gratitude and extensive praise because God is Al-Khaliq, he is the creator. He created everything. He is Al-Bar, the greatest benefactor. All benefits and goodness that we receive in life is ultimately as a result of God, so we should give him gratitude. But there's something even more fundamental. There is something in our lives that we don't earn, own, or deserve, but it's freely given to us at every single moment, and that's every conscious moment. Every conscious moment we don't deserve, own, and we're not responsible for, right? And we can't even earn it. Every conscious moment. So if it's true, and we know it's priceless, because if I said to you had 10 conscious moments left, 10 minutes left in your life, but in order to receive another 10,000 minutes, you have to give me all of your wealth. Bismillah, you'll give me all of your wealth and you'll take someone else's as well, just to be sure, right? That's how priceless life is. Well, if it's true we receive this priceless gift that we don't earn, own, or deserve, then how should it make us feel? We should be ultimately grateful to God. And that's like a key to worship. And another aspect is extensive praise. If you could praise Ronaldo and Messi for being great football players, right? We could praise poets like Iqbal for producing great poetry, or Rumi for producing great poetry, or we can praise an engineer or an architect, or praise other people by virtue of their attributes, even though their attributes are limited and flawed in some way. Then what does that mean about praising Allah, whose names and attributes are perfect? Allah is Allahu Akbar. He is greater. Not the greatest, he is greater. Anything you can think about, Allah is greater. So we could think the engineer, what about the one who created the engineer? We could think the mind of a scientist, what about the one who created that mind? Right? Yes. We could be in awe of nature, but what about the one who created nature? Right? We could be in awe of beauty. What about the one who is the source of beauty? Right? We forget that, and Islam teaches you how to think that way. We don't just stop right, what's in front of our noses. We go beyond. We think. We see the implication. We understand that there's something greater behind all of this. I mean, when you look at the stars, for God's sake, I mean, look at the universe. Look at the solar system. Look at the micro universe within yourself, right? And the macro universe externally. Just even reflecting on all of these things in a deep way will lead you to the conclusion that there is a creative power behind all of this. And if we praise these things, then we should praise the one who created it in the first place. So God is worthy of extensive praise, and that encourages, that's manifested in acts of worship through your tongue, through your heart, through your limbs. So that's essentially that's why God is worthy of worship.